All right, there you go. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I think that's good enough. We'll figure it out as it goes.
All
All
right.
right. So, yeah, Cole, thanks, man. Thanks for joining. Thanks for doing this. So we're just kind of we wanted to get together a little bit, talk about our the future projects, our different communities, and the things that you and I are thinking about working on together in the future. So this is just going to be for our communities only. The recording, it's not we're not going to post this on our YouTube channels at this point. And then once we start working on some of the projects that you and I are thinking, then we'll kind of think about maybe doing that. But yeah, so I don't know if you wanted to kind of for those of you who might not be familiar with that, which I think a lot of people already know your content and already big fan of yours. But yeah, if you want to do a quick intro, so for the people that might not know about you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Zubair. So, yeah. Hey, everyone, I'm Cole. I've got a YouTube channel just like Zubair, where I teach really everything generative AI, especially with a focus on AI agents. And so there's a good mix of a lot of coding stuff on my channel, but also covering no code tools as well, just because I'm a pretty firm believer that there's a time and place for both. And so, yeah, I cover a lot of different things like do a lot with N8N, like Zubair does. I also do a lot with LangChain. And then also, I started a community just like a month and a half ago for a project called AutoDev, which is a fork of Bolt.new that we're building up to be the best open source AI coding assistant. So those are most of the big things going on in my channel. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this collab right here with Zubair. So yeah, back over to you.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Yeah, I think the Autodev that's very cool, and Bolt.new is a great tool. I've been using it
Yeah.
a lot, and I think as it improves more and more, I think it's just gonna I think make a lot of the barriers that people have to make applications, or even like now together with N8N with the agents. I think that's super exciting because now it's kind of removing completely that barrier to entry for all sorts of people with different backgrounds that could come in and potentially use their imagination and build whatever they want. A lot of times I even when my community, when I talk to certain people, it's kind of really cool to see, and I'm sure Cole, you've kind of noticed too, there's a lot of people who are experts at their industry, and now they're feeling comfortable enough to jump in and say, hey, you know what, I can build
Hmm.
this on my by myself, right? Or at least like try to build something that would be functional in the beginning. And so now you bring in all of this expertise that you have about your industry that you've been working on, that you probably know more than a lot of people. And then now you have access to these amazing tools where now just with a prompt, you can essentially build anything you want. And I think that's very exciting. And I think your auto devs, so that's the one that I think um, I find super helpful. Honestly, one of the things that I use a lot. So I've been playing around, especially the fact that you've given us the opportunity to now utilize all these different languages locally. I
Hmm.
think that's like very exciting, and I think that's where the future is going. So yeah, maybe talk a little bit more about that, because I want to see some more hear more details about like Autodev and where you're planning to take it and how it's going right now and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, the way that it started is actually kind of funny because um, I was literally like, I was with my wife at Barnes and Noble, and like she just like had to go use the restroom really quick. So I was just like sitting on my phone, like waiting for her, and I was just looking at Bolt.new, and I'm like, oh, they're open source. So I go check out the code. I'm literally just like on my phone looking at through the GitHub for Bolt.new, and I'm like, wait a second, this is actually really easy to extend to use other large language models because right now it's just using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And so yeah, like the next evening, I just spent a couple of hours adding in other LLMs. So you can, use local LLMs with Olama or hook into OpenRouter or use GPT if you want. And then I just posted a video on it. So I'm like, this is something really awesome to share with the community. And that you can go and try it yourself now. Just go to my GitHub page with my fork that, I just had like a couple of commits at that point. Um, and then after I posted that video, there's 4 pull requests that came through. It's like, oh, okay, this is cool. People wanted to actually like add some things into it. So I accepted those pull requests. And then I made a video about it again because I'm like, it's kind of neat what these people wanted to do and share. And so I did that, made another video, and then 20 pull requests came through the next week. And then I'm like, oh boy, people are actually starting to like really contribute. So then I made another video on it because at this point I feel like I owe it to them just because I did it for the other
Yeah.
people. And then before I knew it, I had this huge community formed, making all these amazing changes to what I then started calling auto dev. And we had the community created for it, got a lot of other people to join it to form a maintainer team. And now here we are doing some really awesome things. And we've got a roadmap developed at this point, for a lot of things that we want to develop. Right now, there's a lot of like core features that we're working on. Like we recently added the ability to load an existing project into AutoDev, so you can use AutoDev to continue working on it instead of always having to start from scratch. We're working on being able to load in Git projects. We recently added being able to attach images to the prompt for LLMs that can actually understand images like Llama 3.2 or Claude or GPT. And then a lot of things coming in the future as well. Like one thing we're going to be working on is a prompt library. It's become very obvious at this point that different LLMs need different prompts to
Hmm.
really work well as an AI coding assistant. Right now, the prompt that we have is basically untouched from what Bolt created specifically for Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And it's very obvious that like the way they created this prompt was just trial and error, trying it with Claude 3.5 Sonnet, tweaking it when it did something wrong, doing it again, it just rinse and repeat. And so we kind of have to do that for the other models. So we got that coming. We're also planning on creating an extension marketplace. And so basically a way for you to create plugins for AutoDev without having to go and make a pull request into our GitHub repository. So it's sort of like we're kind of going to be like the WordPress for AI coding assistants, where you have this place to create extensions that people can go and install and toggle on and off. And so that way we can add all these amazing things into the project without having this insane feature bloat where there just ends up being 50 buttons all over the place for all these cool things that people might want to try. So that's a lot what we got coming up right now. And then also a big strategic partnership that we're going to be doing with Autodev pretty soon here that will be announced next week. And so that's coming up really soon. I can't speak a ton to the details about that right now. I covered that in one of my more recent videos on Autodev, but yeah, there's just so many exciting things coming for the project soon.
Yeah, that's great. No, honestly, like I think that's super exciting for sure. And then yeah, so we'll just for kind of future um, Cole and I were talking that, in the future, him and I will probably start to work on a few projects for both of our communities, like for his community, because I know he has a few more things that he's planning to release in his community, and so I will kind of work with him on some of those stuff, and the same thing we'll try to do. I'll add Cole to the community pretty soon after this call, maybe, so that way, he's part of the community as well. I mean, obviously he's pretty busy, so it's not like he's gonna have a lot of time to contribute, but just for him to be around, and then also like as you guys in my community, if you're when you're playing around with Autodev or one of his projects, like that's where you can also provide feedback for him. So I think that'll be also very valuable for Cole too, as people are, you get kind of feedback on people who are actually using the product, and you can
Definitely.
that, so I think that's also very valuable, because I've seen a lot of value on people actually, providing some of their uh, uh, thoughts on, hey, this could be improved this way, and that's like really good way for any product or any project to see a lot of improvement. So I think that's going to be great. And then also I'm going to be using Cole's the n8n pipe that he created for Open Web UI. I'm actually working on a nice little project there. So so we're kind of we're trying to figure out ways that we can provide more and more value for you guys in this community, and also for his community, has as his community kind of gets launched becomes more and more robust. Obviously, I'll be involved in that side as well, and collaborate with him on different projects. So there's going to be lots of fun things coming in the future. And the problem is, Cole and I were talking earlier too, that we don't have a lot of time. Otherwise, there's a lot we can do. So we got to figure
Oh
out
yeah.
what makes sense, right? And him and I will definitely try to work on more and more projects as time moves on. And we're just kind of in the beginning right now, right? It's just we're just getting started. I mean, everything is so new right now that that's why him and I figured that for us to get started, at least stay in touch and start on working a few things in the beginning. And as both of our channels and both of our communities expand and the more projects kind of come into our peer review, then we'll try to find ways to collaborate on those things as well. So there's going to be lots of great things because him and I are both in the same, we have the same goal where we're going. So we're definitely going to have lots of opportunity to work on great projects together as you improve your side of things with your great products that you're working on. And I think there's going to be lots of opportunities for us to jump in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then also, yeah, cool. So I don't know if you want to quickly just talk about like, some of the focus on N8N that you're having, and that's probably where I will contribute a lot, most likely to your side of things in your community. So I think maybe that's why down the line, maybe as people in my community create some of their projects with N8N, right? Some of the agents that they create, then that might be an opportunity for them to hop over and get exposed to maybe your audience or people that are in your community as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. So N8N is a big part of what I do, like I said. And so there's a section of my community dedicated just to N8N. I mean, I use it all the time for prototyping agents, even some of the agents I have in production. It's just a phenomenal platform. Scales really well. It's still really easy to use. And it's got a lot of that customizability that you need that a lot of other AI automation no code tools don't offer. And so one thing that I'm going to be doing with my community that I'm actually releasing next week, kind of like a beta version of what I'm calling an agent studio. It's going to be this community-driven platform for people to try a bunch of AI agents and just get a sense of what's possible. And then all of these agents are going to be open source. So you can come on the platform, find an agent that you think is cool, try it out, and get to see exactly how to implement it. Like you can go and just see the N8N workflow, or this will even work with other tools as well. So you can go see like the source code if it's a LangChain agent, for example. And all of these agents are going to be made either by me or someone in the community. And so there's this whole instruction set I have that's like lays it out very, very clearly. Like if you wanted to be one of the community members creating an agent like with N8N for this platform, here's how you do it. And then you can send it to me and I'll get it published on the studio with your name on it, linking to, wherever you want, like your X account or your YouTube or LinkedIn, whatever. So obviously giving credit where credit is due, but that's what makes it a community driven platform. And, Zubair and I are both talking up N8N a lot here. That's going to be one of the big platforms for building these agents. So it's just going to be a really awesome place for people to share agents that they built with other people and just learn from each other. So I'm really excited to launch it next week.
yeah, no, that sounds great. I think that's going to be another great opportunity for people to maybe, in my community, collaborate on certain like, agents that they can build together, and then, they can post it, to you in your community, so then they can get an exposure. And to your point, like if it's a good enough agent, and as your agent studio grows, and I might be working on something similar either with you or like separately, there's going to be lots of opportunities for people to actually sell their agents that they're making.
Mm-hmm.
It's solving a real world problem, especially for businesses and stuff, right? So there's like lots of
Yeah.
opportunity because like I said, we're just so new in this space. And as kind of the space grows, there's going to be lots of needs for these more and more useful, robust agents. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for people to, you know, get inspiration, whether it's from one of your videos or one of my, tutorials that I make, or just like collaboration inside the communities, and say, hey, you know what, let's work on this together. Let's try to put it, in this marketplace or in this studio, and then try to see if somebody would buy it. And then honestly, if it is something that's going to be useful for businesses, they would buy it. Especially if it's something that's reasonably priced, like why wouldn't you? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things like these, as like new conversational AI models are hitting the market. I don't know if you saw, but recently 11 Labs released their new conversational voice agent, which is amazing. I mean, it's almost
Hmm.
it's pretty. It's like close to what OpenAI did. So,
Yeah.
people now incorporate that in N8N or and build like a useful agent to that. You can very easily sell that to a business that's looking for like a customer service or appointment setting agent. That kind of removes for them the barrier of technology where hey, here is this thing that I built. All you have to do is just create the account, connect this thing, and you can even as a person who built it, like you said, Cole, like you obviously every time we post these things, whether it's like somewhere that I post for the community members that they get exposed to the public or it gets posted on your agent studio. Now everybody has the opportunity to be exposed to actually customers and
Mhm.
utilize our audiences to be able to actually make expose that to the public, and that's how you can start a business. You know what I mean? So um
Right. Yeah.
definitely lots of opportunities there. But yeah, so I think that's yeah, I just wanted to kind of do like a quick, intro on what projects you and I are working on. Like I said, there's going to be lots more announcements like, in the future because right now we're still kind of in the process of baking some of the ideas that we have. So once that gets to a point where it's concrete enough for us to share with everybody, we'll definitely will. But right now this is kind of just the beginning of our partnership, but I just wanted to kind of let people know that hey, like we're serious, we're not like joking around here. Because sometimes people just
Mhm.
say that hey, we partner, but I think it's always good to have the face to face so that way people are know that hey, like you and I are definitely working on things, and we'll be working on more things in the future, but obviously these are longer term projects and they take a lot of time and effort. So I think it's always good to at least let people know that we are in the process of doing things together, and hopefully lots of great things will come out of it. So definitely looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Let's see. I want to give the chance the last 10 minutes to for people who are here. And then I know there was a few questions on the community as well for Cole. So why don't you guys, I don't know, do you guys have, I know the few people who are on the call, if you guys have any questions for Cole, go ahead and do it. And if not, then I'll just use some of the questions that were posted earlier.
I have one. Hey Cole, hey Taber.
Hey, Diego.
First of all,
Hey, Diego.
first of all, thanks both for putting this on the table, everything on the table, like this community in the new wave that we are living. It's awesome. So thank you both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cole, you said that a couple of your productions agents were on N8N. What are the other platforms that you use, or what do you use for more complex agents that you have on production on your own?
Yeah, really good question, Diego. So the main thing for me is LangChain and LangGraph. That gives me the customizability because it's custom coding my agents. And like I said at the start, when I was introducing myself, like I'm a firm believer there's a time for no code and code. And when you really get to that, like, oh, I need this super custom, like I need to work with metadata for RAG in a really specific way. That's usually when I find it makes a lot more sense to code my agents, but I also don't want to completely code it from scratch. And so LangChain and LangGraph, those two libraries within Python, that's usually my go-to because it gives me all the power that I need. But also, I don't have to do everything from scratch because those libraries they help out a lot. And so that's typically what I'll use. And I'll say like out of those two, they go really well together. LangGraph, though, I love the most. Like that platform is just so well developed, so clean and easy to use. And for those of you who don't know, LangGraph is basically like an agent orchestration layer. So you define your agent workflows as graphs, and they have a ton of cool features like state management and human in the loops. You can like have it so that someone has to approve certain actions that an agent wants to take before it does it. And yeah, like memory and persistence, like it's just so powerful. And so I use that a lot for my agents. And so it also works really well with N8N. So one thing I will say is that I will always use N8N for my agent tools that interact with a bunch of third-party services, like Asana or Slack or Google Drive or whatever. And so I'll turn my N8N tools that do these things into API endpoints just through like the webhook trigger. And then I'll have that as a tool for my LangChain agent. So that way I don't have to deal with credentials and coding all of that in my code. I can have N8N for those pieces, but then still have the power to custom code things myself when I want something that's a lot more custom.
Yeah, no,
So yeah, I
that
hope that
Great
answers.
insight.
Yeah.
yeah, LangGraph is
How do you
actually.
set that up?
Oh,
How
Sorry,
do
can
you
you ask
set
that
that
again?
up? Like, in other words, do you do that like the lang flow in terms of a development environment? You do that. Just can you explain that a little bit? How you kind of shift around between 8 and N and your development environment when you're using LangChain and those
Mhm.
tools?
Yeah, yeah, good question. So, like I said, with all of my N8N workflows that I want to use as tools for my agents, I turn those into API endpoints, just with like the webhook trigger for the workflow and then the respond to webhook at the end of the workflow. So I just have those things and then
With
sandwich in
an
between is
LLM inside, with an agent inside the 8 and N to translate a little bit of that. Is that
sometimes, but a lot of times they don't have to have that at all, because it'll be my agent in the LangChain code that's actually determining like what parameters to send in. Like if I want to send a Slack message, for example, I need to know the channel ID and then the message content. And both of those are going to be basically a part of the request body into the N8N workflow. So I don't have to have any intelligence in the N8N workflow. It could literally be as simple as webhook trigger into send Slack
you're
message.
really not using the NNN like AI kit that's got kind of a LangChain thing behind it. You don't use
Right.
that.
In this case, I'm not. Though sometimes you do have agent tools that themselves have an agent component, and so there still will be workflows. Like, for example, one tool that I made, it summarizes a Slack conversation, and in that case, I actually do use a large language model within the tool because it reads the messages from Slack and then summarizes it, and then sends that to my main agent that will actually like report back to the user. Here's the summary of the Slack
Yeah.
conversation. So you can have like agents within the agent tools, and that's when I would use the agent stuff within N8N. And this is all if I'm just using this integration. I mean, sometimes I will make agents completely just with N8N, especially when I'm prototyping things. It's very nice to just use a no-code tool to build something really quick. And N8N is like, I mean, it is a production-ready application. Like you can build agents that you can scale the heck out of with N8N.
Right.
So it's not like you always have to just
Yeah.
prototype with N8N and then go over to custom coding and only using N8N for the tools. That's just what works well for me for a lot of things that I want to do that's like really, really custom.
I've seen the like somebody set up FlowWise,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's all visual, very little code, but you can set up pretty complex
Oh yeah,
things in
yeah.
FlowWise, and then kind of just pass them on to. Have you
Mm-hmm.
tried that? Like that's similar to what you're talking about.
Yep, yeah. So I have used FlowWise with N8N together as well, and that's also a very good combo because it's kind of similar to LangChain where you use N8N for your tools, and then FlowWise is what you use to set up your agent. And so Flowise actually is built on top of LangChain, believe it or not. So it's a very
Right.
similar concept. It's just a way to do it as a builder instead of having to, write all the code yourself.
Right.
yeah, a lot of the agents, the six agents that are the AI agents that are inside of N8N, those are basically instance of LangChain. Like that's
Right.
because they have
Mhm.
memory. They have that. So every time, like and they get a memory, and you have that natural conversation. That's basically an instance of LangChain. That's what makes LangChain so great because it gives them that ability to connect
Mhm.
external
Right.
applications. So there's definitely, yeah, but I agree. Flowise is actually a great combination with N8N because they really do fit really well together. So
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Well, PJ, I know PJ, Gav, or Ryan. I don't know if you guys had a quick question. I know there's like 4 minutes left.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, sorry, I don't have a camera on this machine, but I just want to say hi to Cole and thanks for joining and doing this thing. I didn't know about Auto Dev. I've been using Bolt, and on one of my projects, I used over 60 million tokens, and then I had
Wow.
to take it to Windsurf. I had to take it to Windsurf
Hmm.
to fix up the last little thing. So I'm very keen to try Auto Dev and to get it going now. I just obviously watched a couple of your videos to see how you've done it and what you're doing. So it's really good that you're partnering with Zubair, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot, and I'm also very much looking forward to this partnership, Zubair. And what you said about using bolt and then going to windsurf. That's actually a very great combo as well. Because a lot of times you want to quickly start in the browser. Like that's the beauty of Bolt is like everything's just in the browser, super easy to set up. And then you kind of hit snags with it or you run out of tokens or whatever. And then that's when you go into windsurf and really touch up the last things. And then also windsurf is able to work on your back end more, where Bolt is more meant for the front end. And same kind of thing with AutoDev. So yeah, great combination.
PJ and Ryan, did you guys have anything? Got like 3 minutes left because I got a hard stop at 9 too, and I think Cole does too. So, all right. Maybe not. All right. Somebody else, Cole asked a question that knowing what you know now, like what would you do different with the tools and the channel and everything? How, have you, because that's always an interesting question because I'm like, when we get
Yeah.
started, like we never know where we're going to end up. I honestly had no clue I would end up with like a community of these great people and like be focused in end. I'm sure you were kind of in the same space. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good question. Man, it's a thinker.
Yeah.
I would say the main thing is when I first started my channel, there was a series that I was doing. I was calling it the AI Agent Masterclass. And I think that's what gave me a lot of my initial traction. Well, while I was doing that, I was trying to branch out to some other videos just to kind of test the water a little bit with some different topics. And I didn't do enough research, I would say, before I made some of those videos. So there are some that I have where like I feel like my information wasn't necessarily the best, and I should have just either sticking more to what I was doing mainly or actually invested some more time into researching things. I was trying too hard to test things at first. I think that kind of stunted my growth initially because once I hit my stride and I was really like, okay, this is what it takes to research something new and I branch out. And then here's how I continue to stick to what I'm doing best and with my core content. That's when it really started to pick up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
And then, yeah,
I did a lot of like testing the waters. But to be honest, I
yeah,
think that's everybody, right? You're not gonna know like where you're going right away. You have to test and you gotta make mistakes.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So that's just
right. I mean, yeah,
part of the growth.
definitely. Yep.
All right, man.
Actually, same
Well,
question to you, Zubair. I'm curious with like the 1 minute left if you have an
yeah.
answer for that
Yeah,
as
I was
well.
gonna, I mean, honestly, the same thing. There's some, I mean, I did like testing the waters for like 6 months. It's like I did
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. And, there was a lot of things that now that I look at, I'm like, I don't know if that's very accurate what I said there. But hey, I'm like, I didn't know enough. You know what I mean? I just didn't know my level of knowledge on just LLMs itself was just so low at that point because I was just
Mhm.
testing different things. And same thing with N8N, like with agents, all of this stuff, like everything was
Yeah.
new. So, it's inevitable that you're not going to have the same level of knowledge after like really working on something for like 4 months in a row versus when you're just getting
Right.
started. So I think those
Right.
are just kind of growing pains, but yeah, it is what it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and definitely, like I said, lots of great things to come in the future. But I appreciate you taking your time and hopping on. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll stay in touch
Yeah.
and we'll do more stuff.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Thanks, Zubair. I'm looking forward to what's coming, and thanks everyone else for
Yeah.
joining as
Thanks,
well.
guys. Everybody else for joining. Take care.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one.